We want to welcome to Veterans Radio today Grady Hannah. He is the CEO of a company called NightWare. Grady, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim.
Well, it's an interesting company that you head up. It's got a medical device that will be of interest, I think, to veterans. But let's start with this. Grady, tell us what NightWare as a company is all about.
Absolutely. NightWare is a company focused on helping people with nightmares and nightmare disorder. And so much of our public discussion about nightmares are resulting from PTSD, because PTSD is a well-known problem. It's a well-known issue facing veterans, first responders, victims of violence, sexual trauma. But in particular, this was invented by a young man whose father returned from Iraq with PTSD and nightmares. So we initially have a heavy veteran focus, because as a small team, you really have to pick where you spend your time and energy to be able to make a difference. And the veteran community is one that has very severe problems due to combat trauma and other issues. And so that's our primary focus, is helping veterans with nightmares resulting from PTSD. And the way that NightWare works is it's a platform that utilizes the Apple Watch. We take sensor data from the watch that uploads to our AI backend, and we profile a person's sleep. At that point, we detect anomalies consistent with a nightmare and intervenes by buzzing the watch at increasing intensity to arouse the sleeper from the nightmare without waking them. This has had very good clinical results.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept of using sort of advancing technology to interfere with the nightmare, but not to a level that wakes up the individual, and what then allows them to go back into a more defined REM sleep and get better sleep?
Yeah, it's unconventional. Tyler Sklezaczyk, the inventor of NightWare, wanted to help his dad and took what was available to him, and off-the-shelf technology, wrist-worn, sensor-based technology presented through a watch is what was available. And he followed the operating procedure of a service dog. And so service dogs are trained to detect when their master is entering a nightmare, if they're PTSD-trained service dog. And so they will sit on their master's chest and lick their face. They're trained to turn on the lights, do what they can to wake that person, because to get to a completed nightmare, it's very traumatic. And in some cases, people are flailing and moving around. They can injure themselves. And so, it takes years and a lot of money to train a service dog. There's a supply issue with service dogs. And so being able to present this in a simple way through a watch, it's a really scalable way to help people with this problem. And very consistently, nightmares are listed as the most severe symptom of somebody's PTS, of their combat trauma. So the psychiatrists that we talk to, they estimate that 50 to 75% of the people that they're seeing with post-traumatic stress are dealing with consistent nightmares, meaning once or more a week.
Listen to this full episode and more on the Apple Podcasts app, Blog Talk Radio, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio.